Welcome back to Bazaar. I'm Inko, and there's a new pig set coming with the next season coming out tomorrow. Please excuse Crip's face in some of these pictures. He did half of their yields for pig, and he had his webcam over the cards. Not a big deal, but I figured I'd tell you why I was there. Let's get right into the cards with Coin Cure. It is a 7-second speed, gain regen for the fight equal to 1 times his item's value, base 4 because it's a silver medium, and when you win a fight with Coin Cure in play, increase this item's value by 3, so you can expect at least 3 per day, probably closer to 6 per day, considering you're going to win more than half your fights, if you actually win your run. And also there are extra monster fights to boost up the average. And then when you lose a fight with Coin Cure in play, permanently destroy this and gain gold equal to its value. So, that's going to be a little bit harder to scale up than you otherwise might expect, because suddenly you're going to have a hard time putting this in against players who don't feel stupidly strong. And frankly, Pig doesn't have like a good regen build to use this that well. Every 7 seconds is pretty slow. I mentioned this with Peace Rot in the Mac review. I definitely think this is better scaling than Peace Rot because it doesn't eat your entire economy and in fact can eventually be cashed in if you need to. But man, when you lose a fight with Coin Cure in play, permanently destroy this and gain gold equal to its value sort of just relegates it to a weird economy item. It is worth noting that because it doesn't just self-destruct like Bonsai, if you have any sort of backup plan, which you probably do since this doesn't feel like a late game powerhouse, it's probably fine to just throw on your board, especially like days 2 through 5 before builds get really solid. I don't think that it's a good card, but I can imagine buying this on Pig. There are just enough times where you have the money as Pig, you're about to have a monster fight, you know you'll win it with Coin Cure, and you can immediately recoup 7 of the 8 gold if it gets destroyed in your PvP fight, and it's just not a big opportunity cost to try to scale this up as a good defensive item or just get a little bit more econ by winning more than one fight with it. Do I think it's good? No, I really don't, but I do think it's an interesting design. I prefer this sort of design to Crystal Bonsai quite a lot, and I kind of hope this signifies a rework of Crystal Bonsai style cards, but since Coin Cure sort of thematically makes sense, I'm going to imagine that's not the case. Next up, we have the Pin FT. It is a small tech silver starting tier, 2-second cast time, and every time it goes off, your items gain 3 value for the fight. So first of all, this is actually just good because it's fast. It is a 2-second cast time, which Marbles and Matchbox and Yo-Yo all love, and generally speaking, if a card is just good because it enables other cards to a really high effectiveness, that tends to make the card itself good. It's sort of how Uzi is good in Dueling. Now, going beyond that, your items gain 3 value for the fight is actually not a bad effect. This is just 9 burn before a luxury kiosk goes off. It can scale up whatever sort of value scaler you're using while you're transitioning to it. Is it good as a value scaler? No, not really. It's only for the fight. It doesn't scale up that quickly. But it's not terrible. A lot of the time with those boards, you find yourself with like one random slot. I never have a hard time getting Crystal Bonsai onto a board when I'm transitioning to Fixer Upper in my monster fights. And I think it's going to be pretty easy to justify using this in the mid-game as Pig. It's also worth noting there's a pretty consistent theme in Pig's new cards of trying to scale up the value of your items in general, not just a specific item, and Pin FT really helps you to do that in the early game. It's also worth noting that Pig has a theme in his new cards of scaling up value on your board in general, not a specific item, but having a bunch of items that meet a value threshold of 10. So Pin FT really helps out with those items in the early game. In the late game, you have a bunch of diamond items, they're all enchanted, everything's worth a fortune, you don't need Pin FT. But in the early game, when you have those items that are like, for every value 10 item you have, do X, Pin FT makes it really easy to enable those items and really helps transition into them. Before I cover those sorts of value scaling cards though, let's cover Hypergreen's another value scaler. It's a 4-speed silver medium item, and it has the tool tag. Adjacent items gain +3 value for the fight, and passively, when you use an adjacent item, heal equal to the value of adjacent items, both of them. For all the reasons Pin FT is good, Hypergreen's is half as good. It is bigger and slower, so it's worse than Matchbox, or worse with Matchbox by quite a lot. It is adjacent items only as opposed to your whole board. It's just not particularly exceptional unless this heal effect is crazy. Worth noting, this heal effect can go on to a variety of, value scaled properties and make any property a decent defensive option. I don't know how much that's really going to matter because the best property builds tend to explode your opponent before defenses matter. But there are plenty of property builds where you're moderately weak to poison and you might be able to put a Hypergreen this into them. I don't really know that I expect this to be an incredible card, but I do think this has a niche and deserves to exist. Do I think it's generically good? Not really. But I think it's probably good enough, and it can give you an absolutely massive number of heal effects, which can do a lot for you. It's not as good of an enabler as PinFT in my opinion, but it enables different things with the heal spam and the translating value to healing. So I think it does have a home, it's just a little bit more niche. It does not particularly excite me. I'm trying to find reasons to like it, and I can find them. I don't think it's a bad card, but I don't think it's something I'm looking to get. So let's go talk about the reason you care about scaling your value so much more than you used to. It's a variety of cards like Rice Baller. It's a medium tool starting silver tier, 7-second cast time, a burn 5. And this has +1 multicast for each item you have in play with value over 10. So theoretically, you could have this and 8 small items, all with 10 plus value, and this is multicast 9. Is that reasonable to expect? No, probably not. But you can get a good chunk of multicast on this, and multicast burn is a terrifying thing. Anyone who's lost to a Volcanic Vents build can tell you just how strong multicast burn is capable of being, and I'm pretty confident this is just a strong thing. Additionally, as a non-weapon multicast item, it's inherently good with Matchbox. I think this is just a generically good thing for Pig. It's not like the most exciting design, but it is a way to do value scaling differently, which I really appreciate, and I think it's probably pretty strong. Is it good enough to win in the late game? I mean, honestly, probably. I imagine if you're running this on like day 10, you probably expect them to die when it goes off. And I don't know that that's unreasonable. Next up, we have a similar item, Bad Blocker, Small Tech Apparel, Silver starting tier. It is an 8-second cast time, shield 20, with the exact same passive effect as has +1 multicast for each item you have in play with value over 10. And while I see multicast burn and get very excited, I do not see multicast shield and feel the same way. It's not bad, it is, if nothing else, going to be a fast item to give you a little bit of defenses and help with the Matchbox, but Matchbox builds have not been in a great place recently, and I don't think an 8-second starting silver tier small item is exactly the solution for the problems Matchbox is suffering. Especially since Matchbox builds more than anyone else are prone to running Piggles, which means it's a lot more work to get this to go off. It is worth noting that I'm assuming PinFT scales the value 369 with tier. We don't know how this stuff scales yet. But if that is how it works, then at silver, this is at gold, this is +6 value every 2 seconds, which would mean that before Bad Blocker or Rice Baller go off, every item on your board hits the value threshold. And if that is how it works, there's some pretty immediately dangerous power with Rice Baller, and you can guarantee Bad Blocker gets multicast from all your Piggles, so that's better than never getting it, but not super exciting. Where Bad Blocker becomes exciting is a specific combo with a new item, 28-hour Fitness. It's a new large property starting at silver tier. When you use a weapon, your shield items gain +10 shield for the fight, and when you use a shield item, your weapons gain +10 damage for the fight, which is obviously a lot better with a big multicast shield item. My counterpoint to this is that you'd much rather have a Jabalian Drum in most circumstances, you're not running both. You'd much rather have a Pig's Gym in most circumstances, you're not running both. And let's say you do get this and the Bad Blocker goes off 8 seconds in and it goes off, you have 4 item slots already, so that leaves 6. Let's say you have 6 small items and they're all weapons. I'm not sure how that board with Pig could be anything other than garbage, but let's say that it was 8x multicast, you gave your whole board 80 damage at 8 seconds in. Like, if they were all things, maybe it would be alright, but that build's probably still just better with a Jabalian Drum, right? I don't look at this and intuitively understand how it's better than the 2 identical functionality cards that already exist. Maybe I'm just missing something. But I look at Jabalian Drum, Pig's Gym, and 28-hour Fitness, and the difference here is that this can scale shield items. So like with the shielded yo-yo, obviously this is going to do a lot more than those other ones can. It's sort of like using a large item to get both, defensive stance and sharp corners at the same time. The old versions of those skills, not the new ones that are nerfed and reasonable. And that's an interesting item design, essentially using large items to replicate multiple unique and powerful skills. But the issue is that those skills didn't take up board space. When you put board space attachments onto things that were powerful as skills, they're a lot harder to justify. It's worth noting that my hype for this item is severely dampened by my firm belief that every defensive build in the game is bad. The good defensive builds are builds that just happen to have defenses, right? Oh, Fixer Upper is a really good defensive build. You say as you deal 1,000 burn 4 seconds into the fight on your relative low roll. Like, no. Defensive builds are good when they do something broken that happens to scale from a defensive value. They aren't good because they're defending a lot. So using a bunch of weapons to scale your shields, that half of the card, seems completely useless to me. It's entirely about generating shield to scale weapons, and it's hard for me to imagine a build that benefits from that more than other cards that already do this at the same size. I don't think it's good. I can't see this working, and that really hurts my opinion of the set, and I'm not feeling very good about the new pig set, man. I really am not. I've got a lot of hype for Rice Baller. I think Pin FT is a good card, but there are a lot of cards where it's like, I don't see the point in Coin Cure. Hyper Greens is probably fine and has a home, but not impressive to me. Bad Blocker, I don't get. 28-hour Fitness, I don't get. The idea certainly seems to be that it gets better with Wrist Warrior, right? It is a bronze tier small item. It's a small weapon, tool, and apparel, and all of those tags does make it good with stuff like Apropos Chapeau. 5-second cast time, adjacent items gain 5 shield for the fight, and when the item to the left of the shields deal 5 damage. So you have 28-hour Fitness, and every time you use Bad Blocker, it's going to scale all of your damage and then deal this damage. And this is going to be actively scaling up the shield value, and all your other weapons are going to be scaling up the shield value. It has to be an active item, though. It's not when you deal damage with a weapon, so this is a passive effect and won't be doing it. Like, I get the idea. I'm just really thoroughly not convinced that this works. Like, even if I get all 3 pieces, right? I just assume that I hit all 3 parts of the combo. I'm like, huh. So I'm going to get destroyed by Burn Mac, Poison Mac, any good weapon Vanessa build, right? Like, if my plan is to shield for a minuscule amount to start scaling my damage 8 seconds in, surely this just doesn't work. And I don't see it. I really don't. I will say, though, the Ring King Gauntlets do just look damn nice. They're another bronze tier small weapon with a tech tag. 5-second cast time, deal damage equal to 1 times your income, multicast 2, and while in play you have +1 income. I'm going to assume the way that this scales is 2, 3, 4 times your income. It could also give you more income while it's in play. I would like it to do both, to be honest. Certainly not just the income. So as a baseline, this is just a 5 speed, 6 damage, multicast 2 weapon. That's not particularly good, but in terms of offensive scalers to use stuff like a Ganjo, that's just better than most comparable items, right? This is basically Flail tier. It is exactly Flail tier. It's very marginally worse, but it takes up 1 item slot less. Seems just better than Flail, and Flail is one of the better early pig weapons. And of course, if you have anything scaling this, and 28-hour Fitness can, of course, but I'd much rather just use, Pig's Gem or Jabalian Drum. Those seem like much better options. But this is just solid with any way of scaling damage. I think this is the most universally useful weapon Pig has right now, and I'm happy to see this. I wish Pig got more generically useful cards, and less like pipe dream combo cards that don't seem to fix the problems Pig has had in the previous patch. It's entirely possible there'll be a lot of reworks and balance coming out with the patch, and Pig's new set is not designed to fix him. That's for a balance patch. But for now, I still think Pig is the weakest character in the game, and this set really isn't changing that. We're not quite done though. We have 2 cards left. We have the Showcase Reveal. It is a bronze starting tier, medium property, 5-second use time. If you have 3 or more weapons, they gain 20 damage to the fight. If you have 3 or more shield items, they gain 20 shield for the fight. That's just good. That makes it easier to find one of Waits, Ganjo, Apropos Chapeau, or now Showcase to get some sort of early damage scaling and make it so that stuff like Ring King Gauntlets and Flail and all your other quick items can actually scale up and win fights. Showcase is a card I'm very hyped for. Not because I think I'm going to win a lot of games with it on day 12, but because I think I'm going to get to day 12 a lot more often thanks to this existing. This is the sort of stuff I really wanted to see from Pig's set, and I've been saving the best for last because, like, genuinely, Ring King Gauntlets and Showcase are very, very much appreciated. It's just that the cards I feel hyped about in this set feel like the vast minority. And lastly, we have the Speedrunner. It is a bronze tier small item, toy and tech, 6-second cast time, and it charges a non-toy item 1 second. When you use another toy, charge this 1 second. This definitely is a card that does things. What they are, I could not possibly tell you. Like, I get the idea that if you have a build that's good with marbles, or a build that's good with yo-yo, ideally a build that's good with both, it's going to charge the Speedrunner to the moon, which will then charge a bunch of other stuff that was on your board that is not the Speedrunner, or the marbles, or the yo-yo. The sort of idea that immediately comes to mind is some sort of incredibly jank Pig's Gym build, where you're running like marbles, yo-yo, Speedrunner with bottled ship, slingshot, and piggle, and you're using nothing but toys except for the gym, to force all of your toys to charge the gem. I don't think that's necessarily right. Like, I look at that list of items that I'd made, and it just doesn't feel correct at all to me. But I have a hard time imagining this doesn't do something, and it's hard for this to scale any way other than charge a non-toy item 2 seconds, or maybe when you use another toy, charge this 2 seconds, or maybe both. Probably one or the other, and they're functionally identical. Not quite true. The self-charge is slightly better than the charge another, because you can't overspend. That's not true. You can overspend it either way, can't you? It does something. It's definitely gonna do something. This effect has to not be terrible. But for the life of me, I can't really imagine what build it goes into. I imagine it's just perfectly fine in any Matchbox build. Matchbox builds just want fast items. This can charge the Matchbox. It's getting charged by the marbles that you already wanted. Matchbox builds already had good yo-yos. They just were bad at scaling the yo-yos, and this converts the yo-yo into speed on the rest of your items. I don't know. I'm very interested in this card and seeing what people do with it and trying to make it work. But for the life of me, I don't know what it does. This is not a card where I look at it and I understand the builds it goes into, because the toy items don't really make up a whole build themselves, so funneling it into a different item, like the gem thing I was just theorizing about, doesn't really seem the best. Wrapping up, going back through this, I feel like there's a lot of cards that just don't really help Pig that much, and if any character is in need of help right now, it feels like Pig to me. Pin FT I'm hyped about because it helps transition between builds. Rice Baller is just a fundamentally scary thing, a huge multicast burn item. And then the rest of this, until we get to Ring King Gauntlets and Showcase, doesn't really excite me at all. I think the Gauntlets and the Showcase are both pretty good items. They really help me to more consistently enable some sort of weapon Pig in the early and mid game, and that's one of the big things that makes Pig feel kind of bad right now for me, is that the idea of transitioning to Jabali and Drum, like, you're so all in on finding specifically Jabali and Drum, that sure, as I said in Mac's video, this is just objectively worse than Drum and Jim, at least in my eyes. So careful with your use of the word objectively, I guess, huh? But you don't always find those items, and on the one hand, this makes you less able to find its superior counterparts, which sucks, but it makes you more likely to find something that does what you need it to do to continue playing stuff like Wrist Warrior and Ring King Gauntlets, and trying to play your mid-game Pig build if you miss the Jabali and Drum. So this does a lot to help the early game Pig damage builds, but it also gives you a lot of other things that feel unimpressive. And if it's the weakest character in the game, if that's how I feel about Pig, I kind of wanted him to have a really strong set, and I don't think this is one. He has some interesting designs. I don't dislike the designs of the cards. I don't think they're horrifically weak, but I don't look at them and think this is going to fix the problems Pig has, and I really hope the balance patch does a lot to fix them. Because as much as I like Ring King Gauntlets, I just don't like the way that Pig plays right now. Final words, I'm really looking forward to rice balling somebody. I just think this is a really cool card. It's probably just straight up worse than Luxury Kiwas, but it's definitely funny. I will also note, before I wrap this video up, we have seen massive changes between reveals and release, so it's entirely possible that Pig cards get a lot better between now and then. Shot Glasses, as it is now, is one of the most interesting and powerful items available to Vanessa, and when they initially revealed that, it was like this awful shield item that scaled on ammo use or something that never actually saw the light of day in game. So it's entirely possible that any of these cards we discussed in the reveal videos will just be completely reworked into a much more interesting and powerful item, and I'm kind of hoping that happens again. That was pretty cool. If it does, please do it for the Pig items. Mac doesn't need help. Anyways, that'll be all for now. Thank you for your time. If you made it this far, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. That sort of stuff really does help the channel grow, and I really do appreciate it. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.